Day 52. I'm reading Reader Come Home by Marian Wolf, page 191. If we are to evaluate the truth in such descriptions of a digital culture, we must examine ourselves without a cognitive flinch and look at who we are now, both as readers and as cohabitants of a shared planet. Many changes in our thinking owe as much to our biological reflex to attend to novel stimuli to survive as to a culture that floods us with continuous stimuli with our collusion. It will be what we do next with our growing consciousness of these changes that matters. Whether we exacerbate the negative changes by ignoring them, or redress them with increased knowledge, will depend in part on what all of us do next. It is easy to forget that the contemplative dimension that resides within us is not a given and requires intention and time to be sustained. How we reckon with the time we are given, in milliseconds, hours, and days, may well be the most important thing any of us chooses in an age of continuous flux. In her beautiful essay, Time, Eva Hoffman beseeched us to consider how the need for reflection, for making sense of our tangent condition, is time's paradoxical gift to us, and possibly the best consolation. Hoffman's plea was unexpectedly brought home to me in a recent interview by Charlie Rose with Warren Buffett and Bill Gates. When asked what Buffett has taught him, Gates gently remarked that Buffett had taught him to fill his calendar with spaces. In a surprising gesture, Buffett pulled out a small paper calendar, less than the size of his hand, and showed all the empty spaces, quietly saying, "Time is the one thing no one can buy." No one spoke for a second, and the camera did not move from the avuncular face, as if to preserve in film that simplest but most difficult to sustain insight. Whether we are able to attend to our capacity for reflection in this epoch is a matter of personal choice, with critical implications for us as both individuals and citizens. John Dewey saw the loss of this dimension as related to the rise of violence and conflict. I regarded its gradual loss more as an outcome of our milieu, unforeseen sequelae, the constant need for efficiency, buying time, without knowing for what purpose, decreasing attention spans, pushes beyond the cognitive limits by a flotsam of distractions and information that will never become knowledge, and the increasingly manipulated and superficial uses of knowledge that will never become wisdom. In the first half of the 20th century, T.S. Eliot wrote in Choruses from the Rock, "Where is the wisdom have lost in knowledge? Where is the knowledge we have lost in information?" In the first quarter of our century, we daily conflate information with knowledge and knowledge with wisdom, with the resulting diminution of all three. Diminution of all three, exemplified by the interactive dynamic that governs our deep reading processes. Only the allocation time to our inferential and critical analytical functions can transform the information we read into knowledge that can be consolidated in our memory. Only this internalized knowledge, in turn, will allow us to draw analogies with and inferences from new information. The discernment of the truth and the value of new information depend on this allocation of time. But the rewards are many, including, paradoxically, time itself. For uses that could otherwise go by the wayside of our lives without notice, my segue to turn to the invisible harvests that spool from the third, contemplative life. The contemplative life, time for joy. No one can visually follow all that occurs during the last nanoseconds when we read. It is beyond the current limits of brain imaging method. I want to follow less visible tracks with you that lead into the third life of the reader, in which we consciously perceive time in different ways, beginning with joy. During these last moments together, therefore, I ask that you try on what Calvino described as a rhythm of time, what passes with no other aim than to let feelings and thoughts settle down, mature, and shed all the impatience or ephemeral contingency. He used the Latin expression festina lente, which translates as hurry slowly or hurry up slowly, to underscore the writer's need to slow time. I use it here to help you experience the third life more consciously, knowing how to quiet the eye and allow your thoughts to settle and be still, poised for what will follow. Okay, I should stop here. Please correct me if you can. Thanks.